हेलो एंड वेलकम टू माय चैनल लर्निंग टाइम। मैं डॉक्टर सुरुचि तिवारी आज आप लोगों के साथ निएंडरथल मैन के बारे में डिस्कस। दिस टॉपिक इज द पार्ट ऑफ यूपीएससी सिलेबस in unit 1.6. So let's start. Firstly, we are going to see a broad and a brief overview of Neanderthals, that who were they actually. Neanderthals were a species of early human who lived in Europe and parts of Asia from approximately 400 to 40,000 years ago. Their cranial capacities were reaching approximately to those of modern man. They had cranial capacities approaching those of modern humans, but they had certain features which resembled Homo erectus more as compared to Homo sapiens, like heavy brow ridges and low cranium. But there were few characters which were new acquisition, like the forward projection of their jaws was a new feature which was added due to evolution. Now Neanderthals are included under the genus Homo, and they are scientifically as Homo neanderthalensis. They are one of the closest extinct relatives sharing a common ancestor with human man. There are two theories regarding Neanderthals, and it says that Neanderthals evolved from Homo erectus and which migrated out of Africa in around 2 million years ago. But this theory is now controversial. The most accepted explanation is that Neanderthals evolved from the second Homo erectus migration wave around 0.6 million years ago and through Homo heidelbergensis around 0.25 million years ago. But this is for sure that they are the closest and extinct relatives of modern human beings. Now let us see the importance of studying Neanderthals. Why do we study Neanderthals? We study Neanderthals to understand the human evolution in a better way. Since they are our closest relatives, so by studying them we can understand the evolutionary path that led to the Homo sapiens. As we have discussed that when divergence took place, it took place from Homo erectus, first migration or second migration, or from when they migrated from Africa, then the evolution of the Neanderthals took place. Similarly, by examining the adaptations to different environments, we gain insight into how early human populations adapted to diverse climatic and ecological conditions. As the ecological conditions of Africa were totally different and that of Europe were very, very different. But the adaptations took place, and due to these adaptations, an evolution also took place, the evolution of Neanderthal, by which we are studying in this present slide, that is the evolution of Neanderthal species. Now, we also get some genetic insights, as we know that Neanderthals were capable of interbreeding with modern humans, contributing to the gene pool of non-African population. Studying Neanderthal DNA helps us understand that how these genes affect the modern human traits. Researches have also been done on Neanderthal DNA, which can also provide information on genetic basis of certain diseases and how these traits have been passed down through generations. So, from the analysis of the Neanderthal DNA, which was done by Svante Pääbo on the basis of mitochondrial DNA found in the fossils of DNA, he researched and developed how the diseases are influenced by the DNA or the genetic constitution of an individual. Now let us see finally the reconstruction of Neanderthal, how they looked. Neanderthal were ancient humans, as we have known, as we have discussed, and they are closely related to human beings, modern human beings. Their physical traits were different from modern Homo sapiens. They had a very robust build. They had large brow ridges. You can see over here the brow ridges are very large, and a stocky frame. And he had a stocky frame. Habitat. Let's talk about habitat. They lived mainly in Europe and in some parts of Asia. They used tools, they hunted large games, and possibly engaged in some kind of symbolic behavior too. When did they disappear? They disappeared in about 40,000 years ago, and likely due to competition with modern humans or environmental changes. At this point, let me tell you that there were two types of Neanderthals basically. They were classified into two types. The first one was the progressive Neanderthals and classical Neanderthals. Progressive Neanderthals were more like modern humans as compared to classic Neanderthals. The fossils found from Mount Carmel, from Tabun and Ahmed in Israel are the typical examples of progressive Neanderthals, while the fossils that were found from La Chapelle-aux-Saints is a typical example of classic Neanderthals. Now see, when was Neanderthal discovered? Neanderthal was first discovered in 1856 in Neander Valley in Germany. The initial finds included a skull cap, several limb bones, which sparked debate about its origin. Now, when were they identified as a distinct species? Early debates questioned whether Neanderthals were a separate species or just a primitive modern human. But in late 19th century, Neanderthals were recognized as the distinct species, and it was named as Homo neanderthalensis. Now let us see some key fossil evidences regarding Neanderthals. The most important and a classic example of classical Neanderthals come from La Chapelle-aux-Saints in 1908 in France. A nearly complete Neanderthal skeleton, was found, providing crucial insights about Neanderthal anatomy, such as their robust build and cranial features. This find initially portrayed Neanderthals as brutish, but this view has since evolved. Then came the Shanidar cave fossil. Several Neanderthal skeletons were discovered from here, and including one with the evidence of severe injuries that had healed. Now this is an important point, that there were several injuries that had healed. This shows that there existed a social care during Neanderthal times also, and they were capable of they had some medicinal knowledge too, and they were taking care of the injured ones among them. Then came the fossils from Kibara cave in 1983. The discovery of a well-preserved Neanderthal skeleton, including a hyoid bone. Why is the Kibara cave fossil important? Because from there we have found a hyoid bone, and this bone is involved in speech. This has led to the discussion about Neanderthal language capabilities. Now, the presence of this hyoid bone indicates that Neanderthal may be capable of using some kind of language. Now, then in 1970, from Croatia, from Vindaja caves, fossils were found which provided significant genetic material helping to map the Neanderthal genome and reveal interbreeding with early modern humans. Now this site is very important as this reveals about the interbreeding of Neanderthal with early modern humans. Then came the famous fossil from Altai Mountains from Denisova Cave, and this fossil, and here in Denisova Caves it was found a Denisovian fossil, and it also provides evidence of interbreeding between different human species. So this is an important find. Gibraltar, Forbes Quarry and Devil's Tower. The fossils found here are among the oldest known Neanderthal remains, providing insight into the early spread of Neanderthals in Europe. So these are the main fossil sites and the main fossils which contributed a lot in our knowledge of Neanderthals. Now let us see about the physical characteristics of Neanderthals. As we have seen in the previous slide that it had a stocky build, the robust muscular physique adapted to cold climates. Now prominent brow ridges were present. This is a distinctive feature that a distinctively large brow ridges and sloping forehead is present, and this character belongs to Homo erectus too. Large nose, broad nose for humidifying and warming cold air. Now this large nose, which was very prominent in Neanderthal fossil, shows that as they were living in Europe, the conditions were very cold, so it was an adaptation to warm the cold air by humidifying it during respiration. Occipital bun, the bulge at the back of the skull for head balance. Occipital bun was also present among the Neanderthals. The brain size was large and the cranial, it was comparable to the size of the modern human, but the shape was slightly different. The limbs were short, thick, with curved bones reflecting the strength and the cold adaptation. The pelvis was wide, which shows that they had a stable posture and they were, though it was very obvious that they were doing bipedal locomotion, but broad pelvis indicates towards a very strong and stable posture too. The jaw was robust and the hands were very powerful. Now let us see what was the habitat and distribution. They lived predominantly in Western and Central Europe. The Western Asia also we found some of the fossils, and so we can conclude that regions including the Middle East and parts of Central Asia were also inhabited by Neanderthals. Extending into southern Siberia, including the Altai Mountains. Now, what were the climatic adaptations they had? They had the adaptation for the cold environment. They were adapted to ice age, the conditions with cold and harsh climates. They inhabited a varied terrain. They inhabited forest, steppes, and even the mountainous regions. They used to take shelter in the caves, which provided them protection from the extreme climatic conditions too. They also utilized the overhangs and rock shelters in various terrains. Now let us talk about the diet and the hunting techniques. They show a very great dietary diversity. They were capable of hunting large animals like mammoth, bisons, etc. and deers also. They used to consume plants, nuts, fruits and possibly the seeds too, because the mandible is very large and it shows a large presence of large and strong mandible shows that they were chewing hard things. So probably they might be eating seeds too. They were Good hunters, they used thrusting spears and ambush tactics for large prey as they were hunting the mammoths and the bisons. So they were good hunters, and the hunting of such big animals requires a group hunt, and so they were successfully in group hunting and coordinating to take down the large animals. The tools they were using of Mousterian cultures, which include stone, blades and scrapers. Now let us talk about the genetic contribution which they have given to the modern Homo sapiens. About 1 to 2% of Neanderthal DNA is present in modern non-African population, and this finding was pioneered by the scientist which was awarded Nobel Prize also for his contribution in the DNA studies in paleontology, and the name was Svante Pääbo. He revealed that Neanderthal genes affect immune responses, potentially enhancing the resistance to some diseases and obviously the reverse too. Skin and hair. The variants related to skin pigmentation and hair color influenced the physical traits. It was also revealed that Neanderthal DNA is linked to the increased risk for conditions like type 2 diabetes, severe COVID-19 and depression. Certain genes may be beneficial in cold climates and varied environments. So European population is having the Neanderthal gene in them, which increases their susceptibility to certain diseases as discussed here. Svante Pääbo's research was published, and he was the first to sequence the Neanderthal genome, as I have already told you. Through his genomic sequencing, he revealed that genetic differences and shared traits with modern humans. He showed how the gene flow was there as the Neanderthals and early modern humans were interbreeding. So there was a flow of gene, and it contributes to about 1 to 2% of the modern Homo sapiens population at present. Now let's see what were the causes of extinction of Neanderthals. There are 3 probable causes of extinction of Neanderthals. The first was the climatic change. Significant shift in the climate during the last ice age contributed to habitat loss and reduced resources. Now there was so much ice that they were not getting sufficient food to eat. They were not getting sufficient proper place to live, and because of which they got extinct. Then competition with Homo sapiens. The competition with early modern humans for resources and territory may have played a crucial role in their disappearance. Possible transmission of diseases from modern humans could have impacted Neanderthal population. So there is also a chance, because we have seen in the previous slide that Neanderthal DNA is more susceptible to certain diseases. So it is a possibility that when the Neanderthals came in contact with modern humans, certain diseases were transmitted to them, and because of which their population became extinct. Thank you so much for listening. Please share, like and subscribe my channel Learning Time. Thank you.